Every year during the holiday season, domestic violence arrests skyrocket. People are drinking, people are off of work, and together at home, people are maybe traveling and to see family and stressed out. Seeing family. And when the police are called for, maybe it's just a loud argument, there's not even any violence going on, because the police are so busy, not with just domestic violence arrests, but also DUIs, other types of crimes. They're so busy during that period of time, and some of them have taken off, and so there are not as many necessarily available. They are much more likely to, without doing much of an investigation, just make an arrest. But if you get arrested during the holiday season, there are 5 things that you can actually use to your advantage commonly in these cases. So in this video, I'm going to be describing those 5 things that you can use to your advantage if you do end up arrested for domestic violence over the holiday season. My name is Veronica. I'm a domestic violence defense attorney here in California, and I help people put their cases behind them so that they can enjoy their lives and their freedom. And again, in this video, I'm going to be going through 5 things that if you get arrested for domestic violence during the holiday season, typically you can use to your advantage. Number 1, the other party, the complaining witness, the alleged victim, being intoxicated. So again, this is really common in these holiday arrests or holiday weekend arrests. People are drinking, they get into an argument, and instead of diffusing the situation, it just escalates more and more. Well, if in the police report it shows, or maybe the body-worn video that the police officers have, it shows that the alleged victim was intoxicated, then that tells the prosecutor a few things. But the key thing that it tells the prosecutor is that that person, if they were intoxicated, the alleged victim, the person that they would need at trial probably to testify if they wanted to win the case, that person probably isn't going to remember everything very clearly. And that person on the stand, whether they are on your side as the defendant or not, sometimes the alleged victim wants the whole thing dropped, sometimes they want to go forward with the case, but either way, they're probably going to be answering a lot of questions with, I don't really remember, I was drinking that night. And even if they claim to remember, the DA knows that your defense attorney is going to be able to point out, look, they're slurring their speech. They said that they had 3 eggnog martinis that night, and they probably had even more than that. And so the DA knows that this is a big flaw with their case. So they may be more willing to drop the case before court, especially if your defense attorney contacts them ahead of time and notifies them of the problems with their case, the good things about you, and all of that. And if they do file the case, they may be more likely to ultimately be willing to dismiss it, perhaps in exchange for some classes. Number 2, many times with these holiday arrests, there are going to be more witnesses around than normal. So if it happens at a family party, then obviously there are going to be witnesses around. But also, sometimes there will be an argument that starts earlier on in the night, or one party will be upset with the other, and there are witnesses to that. So if there are witnesses, family members, friends, then try to have them give statements right away. If the police are there, maybe they can give a statement to the police. Your attorney can help facilitate gathering their statement. But one of the problems you might run into here is, well, maybe the family members don't really want to get involved in this, right? I mean, that's understandable. So what I would suggest in that situation is you can text the other person and just ask them, like, hey, don't you remember seeing this? What do you remember from that night? And try to get their statement in writing if possible. Number 3, although we all hope that the holidays will really be the most wonderful time of the year, time to spend with family, time for love and gifts and food, sometimes there are jealousies that come up in holiday parties with people you wouldn't necessarily see. There are hurt feelings, there are unmet expectations that may lead to arguments. And while on the one hand, all of that is bad because, it makes people upset, and it also led to your arrest potentially, it also is a motive to have made this up. So whether or not the alleged victim is on your side now, if they made a statement to the police saying, yeah, he or she hit me, for example, and you didn't, then the defense is going to have to explain, well, why would they say that, right? I mean, what would the reason be? Maybe you didn't get them a gift for Christmas, or you got them a really crappy gift that you got from CVS. Well, they got you something beautiful and thoughtful. And it's really important for the defense to emphasize what that motive is when trying to get the case dismissed, either before court or once charges have actually been filed. Number 4, So there are many arrests in a short period of time over the holidays for domestic violence, and that's bad if you're one of them, but it's also bad for the DA's office. So the prosecutors may be overwhelmed, and especially if you hire an attorney before court who contacts them, who explains the good things about you, classes, therapy, etc., that you are going to, who explains your side of the story. The DA's office, because they only have so many resources, they may be more willing to let it go. They cannot prosecute everybody, because if they did, they wouldn't be able to do a good job prosecuting anybody. And they know that. And you can use that to your advantage. Number 5. Many times, as I mentioned, even though we hope it's the most wonderful time of the year, tensions are high when the arrest takes place. Sometimes there's alcohol involved, whatever. So after that, the other party who maybe was stressed at the time, maybe was trying to put on the perfect dinner for your family and felt like you weren't appreciative, after that, they may look back at this whole situation and feel remorseful and feel like, you know what, I really went a little crazy there. I went a little bit too far. I made this thing up, or I'm the one who started this whole physical altercation in the first place. The other party, the person who was arrested, was really just, they were trying to defend themselves. And while that doesn't mean that the case is going to be dropped, it is up to the prosecution. It is not up to the victim whether the charges go forward or not. I know on like Law and Order and all, they talk about pressing charges. And yeah, if you're the victim and you're calling up the DA, and maybe you even hire your own attorney to try to make sure that the case gets filed, yeah, they probably are more likely to file it. That's true. But if you call up the DA and you say, I don't want these charges to go forward, look, that happens a lot. They don't care. The police don't care either. Once the arrest has been made, it is totally in the prosecution's court. But if you can get a statement from the alleged victim in support of you, ideally explaining what happened and that it wasn't a criminal activity on your part, that they started it or they made it up, and that gets sent to the DA, it definitely helps. Because now, instead of just seeing the police report, maybe the alleged victim sounds cooperative. Maybe they even say yes when they are asked if they want an emergency protective order. Now they know that, okay, actually the victim doesn't want to move this thing forward and is probably not going to cooperate with us and try to get a conviction here. And especially if this is a first arrest and we're overwhelmed, maybe we let this thing go. I hope you found this video helpful. If you did get arrested over the holiday season or any other time for domestic violence, I'm sorry that you are going through that, but things always seem the worst at the beginning, especially when you are trying to do research, as you are doing right now, and you look and you see, oh my God, I could go to prison for this, I could go to jail, I could have a criminal record. Yeah, that's worst case scenario, but it's not always true. So if you do find yourself in that situation and you are in California, feel free to book a consultation. You can find a link down below, or you can call me. You can find my number there too. And if you did find it helpful, please don't forget to like, subscribe, and ring the bell, and also follow me on Instagram, TikTok, and Facebook. You can find the links down below there too.